Today's Father's Day, of course, so we're going to talk about that briefly, but we're going to start off actually by talking about the beach. Today's the first day of summer. So how many of you have already been to the beach? Really? That's about a third of us, maybe not quite half. Okay. How many of you like Ocean City, Maryland? The better. Ocean City, New Jersey? Okay. Is there another destination place, a different shore that we tend to go to? New Hampshire? Well, okay. Isn't that rocky up there? There are beaches?
5 miles of beach, that's it.
Okay. Well, if you've ever been to the beach, I'm sure you've at least tried boogie boarding, body surfing. Maybe you've been courageous enough to actually try surfing, maybe skimboarding, all of that. I grew up doing all of those things. Well, have you ever been right at the cusp of the beach where the waves are curling right there at the shore? You can also see sometimes the waves are curling off in the distance, but as you know, there's something called tides. Tides come in and they go out roughly every couple of hours. You can almost, well, not quite to the minute, but you can tell pretty quickly. But there's this very special spot on the beach if you're paying attention to it. Because as the waves come in, perhaps they come in like this, one at a time, like this. But every so often, because of sand underneath, have you ever noticed waves can crash into each other? Almost as though like this one's coming at an angle and this one's coming at a different angle. And so if you find that sweet spot where the two overlap, you've got taller waves right in the middle. Those are fun, right? Because part of the fun about playing in the waves is that they just smash you. And then you get up and you play against the ocean, you try to fight against them, and then you just get decimated again and again. It's like being a kid, obviously. But those are really interesting spaces. Now, if you walk around this sanctuary, when music is playing, did you know you hear different things? If you are standing up in front while people are playing music, you actually hear things differently than if you back up to roughly about 6 or 7 pews back. You actually have a different sound that you hear than if you're up here. Literally, Steve and Debbie have a different experience than you guys because the speakers, the sound waves overlap at a certain place. It's amazing. And in reality, what happens is, I found this out just yesterday, so I went on a YouTube binge, and this is really helpful. There's something called constructive and deconstructive interference. Just think interaction. Sometimes waves come together and then they merge and they're almost twice as strong. If you've ever been to a concert, you've probably noticed this, where if you stand in certain places, it's like it's twice as loud. It's because the sound waves overlap, just like how ocean waves can overlap, and they're taller in different places. Well, in this passage, in Acts chapter 11, Barnabas is preaching to the people in Antioch. And then something interesting happens. He goes and he gets Paul and brings Paul in to Antioch. And so now there's 2 speakers, and the message is amplified in Antioch because now there's more than one person saying these things. It's no wonder to me why Antioch is the first place people are called Christians. I want to ask you real quick, who are the speakers in your life? Steve, Debbie, myself, and Danielle don't count. Think about other people. Who are the speakers in your life who are amplifying the message of the gospel to you? See if you can think of 3 of them. Just 3. Now, it could be a mother. Obviously, moms do a great job. That statistically, we actually inherit our faith most often through our mothers and our fathers, or through our mother figures and father figures. Who are the people that are the speakers into your life? I feel very fortunate that I was raised in a household where both of my parents were on the same page about all these things. And so both of them, their sound waves overlapped and it amplified, and all of a sudden, my brother and I have high values of being healthy and holy. Because to me, both of those things go together. So to all of you young folk or whoever's watching at home, pay attention to those speakers. And then I would like to invite you to do something else. Every so often, you're going to have speakers that come into your life and they do that opposite thing that I mentioned, deconstructive interference. This voice over here is inviting you to be healthy and holy, and this voice over here is inviting you to be unhealthy and unholy. And one of the important things about a young person and even adults, we all have to learn to listen to the right voices. Young people, you have influences in your life that are speaking into you that are almost completely overwhelming the voices of Steve, Debbie, myself, Danielle, and even your parents. Pay attention to the voices that you listen to. Because if the voices that you're listening to are overwhelmingly inviting you to be unhealthy and unholy, are you sure you want to go down that path? So, on this Father's Day, let us at least celebrate the fathers and the father figures that are the profound voices to each of us. The ones that have consistently invited each of us into being healthy and holy. Because they're a gift from God too, just like our mothers or mother figures. And so one of the things that I find most valuable, and sometimes I think it's underrated in churches, is we have the ability to be speakers and amplifiers towards each other. No matter what age, young or old, biologically related or spiritually related, my earnest hope is that we be a church that always amplifies the gospel message of being healthy and holy and being Christ followers along that path. May we each be that for each other. Amen.